Welcome back to the Investor Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Pesavento, and each week I share mindset tips, investing strategies to help you take your business and your investment portfolio to the next level. And today is no different. We're going to be talking about how do you get involved in passive investment deals if you're a non-accredited investor or if you're an accredited investor. We're going to be talking about some specific actions you can take and how you can actually get involved investing directly alongside VonFinch and some of the institutional style deals, regardless of your status. We're going to be talking about that and more. So let's get right to it. This is the Investor Mindset Podcast. So the question I receive all the time, especially when talking with new passive investors, is what's the deal with this accredited versus non-accredited story, and why is it something that seems to be so important? Well, I'm going to share exactly why from a high level and be able to walk you through exactly that. And one of the big things that comes down to is accreditation status, for those of you who are not familiar, is simply a government definition for having the ability or having the qualifications to invest in certain types of assets. So an accredited investor is someone who makes over $200,000 or over $300,000 if they're married, $200,000 if they're single, for 2 years consecutively, and has the belief that they're going to continue doing that in the future, or has over $1 million of net worth excluding your personal residence. So this simple qualification is what allows you to be an accredited investor. There's a few more details that if you qualify for, you will likely already know that you're accredited. But why is this available? Why is this a requirement? Well, essentially, the government has come out and said, hey, well, we want to protect investors, and we want to make sure that investors have the qualifications of knowledge, expertise, and ability to be able to weather a storm if they should make a bad investment or if investment should go south. They want to protect you as the investor. So essentially what they've said is, if you make over that amount or you have over that amount of net worth, that you are in a position to make investment decisions that you and also can afford to lose or fail on an investment decision. What is my personal opinion on this? I think it's a little bit arbitrary. I don't necessarily think that somebody who happens to meet those qualifications is necessarily in a better position from an education perspective. I think there's plenty of non-accredited investors who are very well versed and have a good understanding of what they're investing in. And that's what I encourage all of you guys to be, is to listen to shows like ours, to dive into material, to learn and grow, and really put yourself in a position to be able to make smart investment decisions and find great investment sponsors to invest with. With that said, the government has put this line in the sand, and so we have to follow it as sponsors and operators. And so one of the advantages of investing in real estate is that you can have much stronger returns that you actually have the ability to control because you can directly know the sponsorship team. They can have insider knowledge of what's going on within that local real estate market. They have the ability to actually execute that locally, and that can be great for you as a passive investor. That's different than the same type of security that might be available by buying, say, into a stock like Apple or Amazon. Both are securities. One of them requires registration with the SEC, i.e. a publicly traded security. The other, a privately traded security, uses an exemption. That exemption usually follows under something called a 506B exemption or a 506C. The best way to think about this is 506C is community. That means anybody within the community has the ability to invest in that if they're accredited, or brotherhood, which would be anybody who is a part of that person's close network. They have a pre-existing relationship with. They have the ability to invest in a 506B. So 506B is for accredited and non-accredited investors. So you have the ability to invest in a 506B deal if you're not accredited and if the sponsor is accepting non-accredited investors. There's a little bit of a risk. There's a little bit of a liability to accepting non-accredited investors because the government really looks at non-accredited investors as not being qualified to make those types of investment decisions. So it's really important for you as a non-accredited investor to build that relationship, to have a brief phone call, to have a brief connection, to share some information about your investing background and why you're qualified. Qualification is simple. You just have to share a little bit of information about what you've invested in elsewhere, what your knowledge of real estate is, what your income is, and of course, what your current net worth is. Now, there isn't requirements on what is needed to meet those, but it is important for you to build that relationship, to have a know, like, and trust factor with the sponsor, and for the sponsor to know, like, and trust you and know that you are going to be a good investor. Good investors are people who let the sponsor do their job, that they ask questions, but they aren't expecting constant communication from the sponsor, and that they understand that investments have risks, that things go wrong from time to time. Now, we haven't had a deal that we've dealt with that has gone wrong, but of course, these kind of things can happen. And so as an investor, regardless of your accreditation status, it's important to understand what the risks are that go into it, so you can go in with your eyes wide open and make an investment decision. So for anybody who is interested, I have a few more things I want to share with you, but for anyone who is interested in investing alongside VonFinch, we do have some opportunities coming up in the future and some that may be available to non-accredited investors as well. I encourage you to head over to vonfinch.com/call and schedule a call directly on the calendar with either myself or another member of our team to be able to dive into a quick 10 to 15-minute phone call. We'll be able to learn a little bit about you, enter you into our system so you can receive those opportunities as they come. And then, of course, be able to share a little bit about VonFinch. This is a brief conversation to be able to meet the SEC requirements, and it helps you build that relationship with us. You can always schedule a follow-up call to dive deeper, but you can head over to vonfinch.com/call to get involved and get access to deals. And I encourage you to do that in the near term if you're interested, because we do and we may have a deal coming out very soon that we'd love for you to be qualified for. With that said, one of the things is if you're an accredited investor, if you meet those requirements as an accredited investor, you're able to invest in all of the deals that VonFinch puts out. So that is one of the benefits, of course, of either reaching that net worth requirement or reaching that income requirement. We don't want to hold anyone back from having an opportunity to invest with us, but many of the deals we do fit under that 506C for community because it allows us just to frankly reach more people, to have a bigger impact. And so as a part of that, we work with a lot of accredited investors, sophisticated folks, people who are just getting started, and in between. Probably about 40% of the people we work with have a long-term track record investing in syndications. They're very high net worth individuals. They're very sophisticated, and they invest in deal after deal after deal with us. About 60% of people fall into the category of have invested in multiple syndications, or they are just getting started. So regardless of where you fit in, we're able to find a home for you at VonFinch, and we're happy to work with you. And so one of the benefits, of course, from being an accredited investor is that you have the ability to invest in any of the opportunities that come out. Now, one of the reasons we like doing 506C is, of course, we have a very large community and we have quite a few people that we want to be able to reach. And that's one of the advantages, but we're very happy when we're able to bring a 506B deal to the table, even though they fill up extremely fast. They fill up very, very fast because it's rare for us to have one, only every, maybe once a quarter, twice a year maybe. But when we do have one of those opportunities, it can be phenomenal because it allows everybody to invest in these kind of great assets. So we've talked a lot about the importance of finding the right sponsors, talked a lot about the importance of knowing the sponsor and doing that due diligence, knowing who you're investing with, really building that know, like, and trust factor. So we encourage you to do all of that. And as part of that process, you can head over to vonfinch.com/call and schedule that call with us. If you've already been onboarding into our system, you've already had a call with us, of course, you don't need to do this. You'll already be able to have access to the deals that we do. And we appreciate all of you who've already invested. So many of you have invested multiple times. It's really allowed us to be able to do even more bigger, better, and greater deals that have really great stability, that have great equity growth, and have great cash flow, all things that are really important to us. And we love being able to see those tax benefits that everyone is able to benefit from. So with that said, I thank you for listening to the show. I thank you for being an avid supporter of the investor mindset. And I thank you for investing with us directly in these great passive investments. If you have any more questions, you're welcome to reach out to me or a member of our team. We're happy to help, and we look forward to supporting you. On behalf of the rest of the VonFinch team and Investor Mindset, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Investor Mindset Podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Head over to theinvestormindset.com to join the Insider Club, where we share tools and strategies from the top investors and entrepreneurs on how to take it to the next level.